Good afternoon, everybody, and we are here talking today about vascular occlusion and recognition. This is something that every injector worries about, but today we're going to replace that fear with some knowledge. So, hi, my name is Michelle. I'm a double board certified family nurse practitioner, and I'm really excited to be here with you today talking about how preparedness and knowledge can help you for being scared about vascular occlusion. The goal is recognition, so it's definitely not measuring a single or memorizing a single photograph. It's how do we recognize that we're in trouble? How do we look at occlusion is not our only complication that we can have with filler. It is not something that you want to focus on. We want to be aware. And so safety begins before you pick up the syringe. And how do we do that? We do that by looking at anatomy and assessment. So even though occlusion is a perfusion problem, you need to understand that we have to act quickly. And in order to act quickly, we need to be able to recognize what's normal versus what's abnormal in the tissue. The pattern that evolves, pallor might be a more latent sign. So the livedoid modeling and delayed refill, the spider-looking reticular rash can happen within minutes, but it can also be delayed once the patient goes home. And so great education is going to help you to prepare your patient at home to partner with you on your safety plan that you have in your office. So pain helps, but it's also not 100%. So don't always rely on pain that the patient might indicate as a true occlusion. A local anesthetic can mask the pain, so that's something that can happen as well, especially when we're doing blocks, say in the lips, and they won't recognize that pain, so keep that in mind. Visual findings and perfusion checks still matter? Yes, absolutely. So before you pick up that syringe, you should have already ran through all of your safety protocols in your office, and you want to make sure every single team member knows their responsibility. In order for us to understand and recognize there's a problem, we really need to understand what's normal, because how can you judge what's abnormal if you don't understand what's normal, what we're looking for? So first, we need to know that an occlusion is when we have a foreign body. This would be an occluded perfusion. So this is when this particulate gets stuck inside the vessel and all of a sudden we don't have blood flow to the area. And so the body begins to start to react. And so we have compression. So all of a sudden we can have unusual swelling, pain outside of proportion for the procedure that we're doing. And the most important thing to recognize is changes in the skin and pallor. And this is very early signs. This means that that area past that occlusion is not getting oxygen. This can escalate very, very quickly. And so we want to make sure that we understand that this is what we are trying to prevent. So early and quick intervention is key to help you keeping your patient safe. Recognition, yes, this is absolutely key. We must be able to recognize the problem, and we have to assess everything. We want to look beyond that injection point. We get so focused on where we injected, and yes, that's where we want to put our dissolving agent. However, we want to look at all of the areas around the injection area and where we're feeling symptomatic. So immediate, early, and late. This is really important to understand. Patients can be perfectly fine in the office and go home later and start to feel as if something is wrong. Now, as an injector, you can do everything right and you can still end up with a complication. The most important thing that you need to understand is that we need to act quickly. So if a patient calls later in the evening and says, this is very odd, I have a lot of pain in this area, I've had my cheeks done before and this seems really weird, and I have a huge bruise that developed, we want to get them in the office as quickly as possible. When is it best to be able to manage a complication and emergency? Prior to it ever happening. So the minute you pick up a syringe anytime, you want to be ready to act for a safety protocol. And this begins long before the patient sits in the chair. So you want to make sure everybody in the office knows their part and their role in emergency complications. So the clock is approximate. So this is really key. So you need to understand that progression will vary depending on where the occlusion is at. And it also will impact your ability to recognize these symptoms very quickly. So within minutes, we may or may not see this. And if we see it, stop injecting, assess the area, check for pain, administer, do a cap refill, and see if we're getting good perfusion. And if we're not, we need to quickly invoke our occlusion protocol. Pallor blanching, sudden or escalating pain, and patient says something doesn't feel right. So you want to immediately act on that. You don't want to take your own. You have to move our ego out of these types of situations and really listen to the patient. So this is where that bedside comes back to you, where really let's listen and then we'll react. Skin changes, it definitely can happen outside of where you injected. So you really want to be careful and you want to look at everything. I call this the golden triangle. And so when we look at the golden triangle, we've got the needle is not at the insertion site where you injected. It is actually 1/2 inch, generally speaking, for most filler, unless you're using a cannula, generally 1/2 inch away from your insertion site. So you've got to start thinking, where is that needle and what depth is it in? Because depth matters. We want to know what plane that we're in, because this can contribute to quickly understanding that this might be a vascular occlusion. So we might see this rash, we may not. And so we want to act before then. We know where we've injected. We want to quickly come in with our hyaluronidase or Hylenex, which is the dissolving agent. It's simply an enzyme that is a tool for us. Now, it may or may not manage the entire complication in one session. So we need to understand that when we have delayed cap refill, it becomes dusky and there's coolness and pallor, we've got to act very quickly. When do we know the emergency is over? It may be weeks from then. So we want to take care of the patient in the immediate, administer our hyaluronidase, and monitor. We're going to bring that patient back daily until this is completely resolved. And we don't re-inject until at least 2 to 3 weeks afterward, and we know that the patient has had full tissue recovery. This is when we want to be very careful. So now we've got blistering or pustules. This means that under the skin, the tissue continues to be ischemic, and this is where we really want to catch this prior to this happening. Again, listening to the patient, monitoring the skin. This is where we start to have necrosis. And we definitely don't want to let things get to that point. We might send the patient for hyperbaric oxygen therapy. So you might want to have that all part of your emergency protocol, where you would send the patient, what would you do post-care? And you want to make sure that you have all of that ready. So what you're actually seeing, so using a side-by-side comparison, you want to know what the tissue and the skin look like before. This is why before and afters, just one of the many reasons, is so important, is mostly for your assessment, like how did I do? And this is not just for complications. This is every day. What we're doing as an injector in our office is we want to make sure that we're taking good side-by-sides. We want to evaluate our performance. But when it comes to complication management, we really have to have serial photographs. And this will help us to figure out, did we do the right thing? Did we resolve the issue? So when we're looking at blanching, this may or may not happen. So you need to understand that. The lividoid, or our little papular lacy rash that we call it, this does not always happen. So make sure that you understand that any type of blanching, pain outside of proportion for where you injected, especially if we're looking in areas such as the lips, because we may or may not see that in that area. And so make sure that you know this is not an absolute. Dusky color, yes. 90% of the time you will see this. There will be changes, and this can be delayed. We can have a compression occlusion along with a vascular occlusion. So we need to really look at how much are we injecting. This is where we go back to those foundational courses that we took and looking at, we don't want to inject more than 0.1 to 0.15 for each pass. And this is why we want to make sure that we look at, can we recognize hypoxia? Hypoxia being lack of oxygen to this area of tissue. And we have to think about, we've got to inject really quickly with our hyaluronidase, and we need to reverse these procedures. So delayed refill, this can also happen too. So color return can be slower, but it could be resolved. So as long as we know we're on the right path, we continue to inject in that area. Now, hyaluronidase is a fabulous medication, a fabulous tool for us. It does cross the tissue membrane. So we don't absolutely have to be inside the vessel with our injections. We can be in the perimeter. And when we're in that perimeter area, we need to know that we are still flushing the area. So you don't have to absolutely be in the area that you injected in order for it to work. And so flood the area, again, not at your insertion site, because the needle was 1/2 inch to maybe 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch when we might have entered that vessel unknowingly. And so we want to make sure we flood the area. The hyaluronidase moves through that vessel wall, and it can start to dissolve, and it's going to help you to dissolve that. Inject. And we always get asked, when do we quit injecting? When do we get perfusion back? So the minute that we start to see our tissue return to normal and baseline, that's when we know that we've done the right thing. And we continue to monitor. The patient might be there for a couple of hours. And so after that, you're going to want to bring them back the next day and take a look as well. Expected injection response. No single one of those items that we just talked about, maybe they'll be together, maybe it will be one single response. Know to recognize. You want to make sure that you're doing an overall view of the patient when you're looking at their face before, after, and during. When is the very first time for you to look at your safety? Prior to the first injection. And that is with good assessment. Am I using the right product? Am I in the right plane? Am I using the right amount? Because this is key to keeping you a safe practicing injector. And despite all of your efforts, you can and possibly will have some type of complication. We replace that fear with knowledge, and how we do that is through anatomy and understanding where our needle is at and really perfecting our skills. So color, yes, this is expected. The localized erythema or ecchymosis, yes, this is generally seen. Pain can or maybe not be in conjunction with this. Again, if we're doing blocks, especially in our lips, this may not happen. So we want to think about that, because this is where that astute vision of that golden triangle, where is my needle, how much injection, how much product did I put in, and what depth was I in? And you want to make sure that you know that, because if we need to reverse, this is going to become key for you. So pattern, it might be centered at the injection or the trauma site, and it could be outside of the area. So keep in mind that the inflammatory response passed distally to that vessel, it'll be proximal to the patient, but it will be away from the initial injection site and away from that vessel. We can have inflammation, we can have vasospasm, and so we might have be dealing with this up the vessel as well. So refill, comparable with surrounding skin. So we want to look at, where did we start? Maybe look at photos. Stop what you're doing. The most important thing is stop injecting. Stop injecting and move into assessment mode. So for those of us who have worked, say myself, in emergency medicine, this is where I am able to calm myself, stay calm, and stay focused. And this is going to really help you. How that is going to help your whole team is everybody has a role. We know what we're supposed to be doing, preparedness. And one of the most important things in your toolkit next to your hyaluronidase is to having a good plan and how to manage this. And then the trajectory. Are they improving? If they are improving, then we know that we're on the right track and we continue doing what we're doing. And the safety rules, when the pattern's uncertain, reassess, right? We want to make sure that, and escalate rather. We never watch and wait if there is a visual component. I want to say that again. The only time you never watch and wait is if the patient complains of any type of visual enhancement, feels like I have blurry vision. If the vision is impacted at all, then we want to make sure this is an immediate prepare to get to the emergency room with your patient. Arrive there. You're not going to arrive in the ambulance. You're going to follow them, and you're going to talk to the emergency physician to let them know what's going on, and preferably to an area that has interventional radiology so that we can get this filler targeted quickly. So concerning ischemia, again, occlusion, we want to make sure that we're not in that watch and wait. So inspected injection response versus that concerning ischemia. Again, this is looking for changes. And so we want to make sure that we understand that this may or may not be immediate. This may be when they go home. This could be, I don't feel really right. I feel like you injected me here, but now I'm feeling like up here, I'm having some type of symptom. So when they call and they say this, or you're doing your follow-up, you want to see them in. Now, this can happen immediately. This can happen a little bit over time. This is a little bit longer looking at it. This is not my patient, but just from evaluating it, I look at and I can see some pustules happening right here. This is where we either didn't resolve it initially. So if the patient comes to you 3 days later and still has pain, still has a reticular rash, and also has pustules, we need to think about, do we need to retreat? And the answer is yes. So repeatable recognition framework. So you want to use the same sequence every time. How do we do that? We want to have preparedness. Just like in the hospital, we prepare with a code. We want to make sure you understand this is a code situation. So we want to look, we want to scan everything. We want to ask about pain. Is the pain getting worse? Is it getting better? We want to check capillary refill and also temperature. If the tissue is cooler than the other area of the face, especially something in close proximity, then we know we are in a situation where blood flow is blocked and we need to act quickly or continue our evaluation and continue injecting hyaluronidase. So compare and do our capillary refill and then follow the vascular trajectory, not where you injected. As I stated earlier before, when you are injecting, the entry point is not where the filler is at. The entry point is going to be where the end of the needle would be. And that is, again, in most cases for filler, not with cannula, but in most cases, it's going to be about a 1/2 inch farther from your insertion site. So understand and remember how much filler did I use in that area? Did I use 0.1? Did I use 0.15? And so we want to make sure that we follow that. And then escalate. So we want to act on suspicion. We don't want to wait for a full ischemia to happen. We want to be quick and ready to go. So you're going to recognize the change in perfusion before you see that. And how we do that is prepare and assess.